What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is going to be lesson 5. Okay, so if you're at lesson 5, you have became pretty familiar with the G and C chord and how hard to press the strings, where to put your fingers. Your fingers are really learning on where to be put at on the fretboard. So I would suggest, if you're still struggling with G and C, talk to me about it in person, or just keep practicing until you get familiar with it, because I'm going to show you a couple other chords today. These are just a smidge bit harder, but with the practice with G and C, they're not going to be as bad. Okay, so we've learned G and C. Now we're going to learn E minor and D. Okay, so again, you're going to keep these two fingers on the bottom two strings on the 3rd fret, okay? You got your G, you got your C. Now here's an E minor. It's kind of darker. All right, and we're actually moving off of the 3rd fret with these two fingers. Okay, so put your ring finger and your pinky where you know where they go, okay? Then you're going to put your pointer finger on the 2nd fret A string, and then you're going to put your middle finger on the 2nd fret D string. We're going to leave the top string open. You don't want to mute that top string. You want to leave that open. And then it's going to sound like this. Now, this is where your fingers are going to start cramping, because there's a little bit of separation between the 2nd fret and the 3rd fret. Make sure you get those fingers for the E minor on that 2nd fret, okay? So you have G, C, E minor. Now again, don't get frustrated when this is a little bit harder than G and C, because again we're going to the 2nd fret with 2 fingers and 2 fingers on the 3rd fret. So it's going to be a little bit harder. Go through the same process with this as you did G and C. Put your guitar out in the living room or in your room. Every time you walk by, play a G. Every time you walk by, play a G, C. Then now you're going to go to an E minor. Okay, there's going to be pictures in your folder of where your fingers go for an E minor. Again, we do not want to mute this top string. We want to leave that open. That's what gives it that dark minor sound, okay? Okay, so there is an E minor. Okay, so since we are learning a little bit harder chord, I'm also going to teach you an easier chord in this session as well. So there's Maisie, or there's Sadie again. She's going to chill on the back of the couch. There she is. Go on, go. So since we're learning E minor, I'm going to teach you guys an easy chord as well, okay? So the next chord, we're going to learn another minor chord, which is a B minor, okay? And all that is your fingers are still on the 3rd fret right here. And instead of the E minor, you're using 2 fingers, you're just going to use your pointer finger on the 2nd fret A string. Kind of like this, if you can see that. Now, the kicker with this chord for the B minor, you're going to mute this top string now. And this finger's just going to kind of be floating. It's not going to be anywhere on the fretboard. It's just going to be floating. You're not going to be using it, okay? So that chord will sound like this. That's muted. Okay, so here's your E minor. No muting the 1st string. And then here's your B minor. Okay, so that B minor, just in a worship setting, that B minor, sometimes I will call as a MD, I'll actually call it as to replace the G chord. So like if I'm playing a progression, going to the C, there's the B minor. Okay, so that B minor just kind of brightens everything up a little bit. Okay, so now you have three chords that you've actually learned. Okay, no, four chords. Four chords. Now you have four chords that you've learned. And all I want you guys to do is practice still getting your fingers to understand how hard they actually have to press on the strings. Now you're going to be learning the E minor chord and the B minor chord. Okay? So every time you walk by, play a G, play a C, and now you're going to start training your fingers to play E minor and a B minor. Okay? Again, when you practice, all you want to be working on is your clarity of your chord and your technique with your hands, okay? So when you're practicing, take everything off the fretboard, play a G, play a C, play E minor, play B minor. Okay. Now, a lot of people do their thumb different on the neck back here, and it's not really a huge deal for a G and a C, but you're going to really need some force with your thumb to press down these strings for a B minor and an E minor. So you can kind of see where my thumb is. I have really big, I have okay big hands, so I wrap my thumb, I got my palm almost on the back of the neck, okay? And I got my thumb kind of wrapped around here. And I just use that to kind of press down, to press, okay? A lot of people keep their thumb just on the back of the neck, okay? But you practice, take your hands off G, take your hands off C, take your hands off E minor, take your hands off B minor. You're really going to have to train your brain. It's going to be a process at first. Like I said, you're not going to know exactly where to put your fingers, so do whatever works for you. Take the picture out of the notebook that shows you where to put your fingers, and just slowly put them on there. Get a notebook, right? Pinky finger here, middle finger here, until you just. So really the process is train your brain, train your fingers how hard to press, and then train your hand on where to go. Okay? So brain, fingers, hand. Brain, fingers, hand. For all these chords. Okay? So now we've learned the G chord, the C chord, the B minor chord, and the E minor chord. Do not move on to the next lesson until you have clarity in every chord. Okay? And you've really spent some time training your brain on where everything is and where your fingers are supposed to go. Okay? Trying to think. So this is the kind of speed, like before you go to lesson 6, this is the kind of speed that you should kind of be able to do this at. So if I say, okay, play me a G chord, you should kind of be able to go, play me a C chord, play me an E minor chord. See kind of how I've slowed that down? Play me a B minor chord. Okay, so that's all for this lesson. Really work on those. If you have any questions, let me know, and we'll work it out. See you guys.